Melissa's sister, Tracy Kuzmich, and her fiancé, Tracy Crowley, for unfinished work on their home.
Order. All rise. Now it's case number 574 on the calendar, the matter of Morton Moffitt versus Kuzmich Crowley.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
You, Mr. Morton?
I'm Mrs. Morton.
This is your dad?
Yes, Moffitt.
This is your sister?
Yes.
Your daughter and her husband?
Fiance.
Fiance.
Unless
Correct.
something changed.
Miss Morton, they purchased windows for you to install in your home.
Yes.
According to your complaint, the windows were the wrong size, didn't fit.
Right.
You paid them $4,000. That was the agreed price. So far, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have your bill for the windows?
Yes, we do.
I'd
Right
like
here.
to see it.
Bill and some wood.
How much were the windows in total?
The windows in total were $1,551.
Okay. The windows in total were $1,500.
Yep, $1,551 for 9 windows.
Okay, and that's what you delivered.
That is correct.
And she gave you a check for $4,000.
Yes, she did.
And you didn't furnish any additional windows.
That is correct.
So the rest of that money was allegedly for your labor.
No. I have their estimate right here, in which they broke down how they gave it.
Can I see that, please?
Installed 9 windows, or they've installed 11 windows altogether. And the estimate came with a big bow window.
No, just
which
a second.
They said.
Just a second. Speak up. Okay, so the total here was 9 standard windows, add 11 windows to replace the rest of the windows throughout the house. So this total bill was $2,747.
Yes, ma'am.
Where did the other money come from?
Well, they had done additional work through, I had some storm damage, so they did a little bit with that. They said that they were going to do extra insulation. They were going to do more of the trim. The reason that the windows didn't fit to start with was because I have an old house, and they did a false window. So they just took the estimates off of the size off the windows that were in, instead of, taking that false window off and putting the size that fit. They had originally installed the 3, discovered that they didn't fit. So instead of, not leaving those, they decided to make them work, try framing them, and then they said that they were going to take back the others and reorder. Well, they never did that. Instead, they installed an extra.
Were you going to order the correct size windows?
No, I never told her that. I showed her what was wrong with her windows as far as the seal. The seals on the windows were rotten. The windows looked like they were fairly new.
If you purchased different windows, would they have fit more appropriately? The answer is either yes or no.
No.
Okay. So you knew you had to then fix those windows because they didn't fit.
Correct.
Okay. Did you ever do that?
Yes, Your Honor.
When did you do that?
When we installed the windows.
So as far as you're concerned, the job was completed?
That is correct, Your Honor.
No, I don't think so.
The first 9 windows, yes, they were.
I don't think so.
The first 9 windows were.
And then?
We did not put in the remaining 11 windows or the bow window.
She paid you for the additional 11 windows.
That was not for the windows, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
We never charged her. We did this as a family thing, not as contractors.
In any event, the case is about you claim that they did not install the other windows appropriately, and you had to pay someone $1,600 to install them and complete the job. In any event, I don't understand your claim, quite frankly, for $5,000 because all it cost you was an additional $1,600 to fix the house.
Yes, actually, because they did not install the windows I wanted. I was not really made aware of that. I'm not really an expert on windows.
Well, then that's your problem.
And I understand
then that's your problem. I still don't understand why you're suing for $5,000 when all it cost you to fix, and I assume you have a bill for that, to install those windows was $1,600.
Because, for one, I didn't get all my windows. I only have 11 windows in that house. I didn't get my picture window or the additional 8. And like I said, they weren't the Anderson.
Just a second. Did you pay for them?
Yes.
No, I don't think so.
I did. Those were part of the 4,000 that I gave, because on that estimate you see that there was the 9 windows plus the picture, and then the 11 windows.
Oh,
all
one
on
bay
it.
window with Anderson, Silvermine Series windows. Do you have an estimate for the bay window?
Yes, I do.
And is that part of the 1,600?
Yes.
Well, if it's part of the 1,600, we're back to the same question. You paid $1,600 to complete the job. Why are you suing for $5,000?
If I may, Your Honor,
Go ahead.
they installed the windows. They left them hanging with just screws. They
I don't care.
They didn't trim.
I don't care. It cost her $1,600 to fix the job. Why is she suing for $5,000?
Because I would like the compensation for my windows, because those aren't the windows I asked for.
Then
So that's the 4,000. And then I would like the extra 1,000
Yeah,
for the window that he did, because I paid for that bay window twice.
What I'm going... No,
Because-
not if I give you $1,600. You didn't pay for it twice.
It's only one window. I should only have to pay for it once.
Absolutely right, but he shouldn't have to pay for it twice.
He never provided me that window.
Hey, listen to me.
Okay.
Cost you $5,600 to complete the windows in your house.
Yes.
Is that a fair statement?
Yes, it is.
You gave him $4,000.
Yes.
You had to spend another $1,600. My question is, why are you suing them for $5,000?
Because I would like the 4,000 from the windows. Those aren't the windows I wanted.
Well, I tell you what we do. When you take those windows out of your house and throw them in the garbage, come back to me.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Melissa Morton and her father, George Moffett, are suing Melissa's sister, Tracy Kuzmich, and her fiancé, Tracy Crowley, for unfinished work on their home. The defendants are countersuing for false allegations.
Okay. I'm not getting into the whole family business here. The family business was that the windows weren't installed properly to begin with. Then your wife was having a difficult pregnancy, and her sister decided it's not the right time to put their feet to the fire. I'm going to live with this during the summer or whatever it was. But then at the end of the summer, she found herself pregnant.
That's
and
why
she
we went
wasn't
out there.
getting satisfaction from this side of the table to fix a problem that you should have fixed. In any event, she's owed $1,600 to finish the job because you didn't finish the job and she had to get somebody else to finish it. Unless you're going to tell me that you did, in fact, give her a picture window. Did you?
No.
Okay, so she's entitled to $1,600. Now, Mr. Moffett, you have a claim. I want to know whether you want to proceed with that claim, because you say that when all of this came down, you did something that a father should never do. You stuck your nose in your children's business.
No, ma'am, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
Are you telling me that you didn't call them to try to intercede about this window business?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
Ma'am,
We got
if
proof
I
right
may,
here. Go
he
ahead.
called my cell phone an ungodly amount of times telling me to get my dead A out of bed
Just a
and
second.
over to her house.
Just a second. They have the phone records.
Yeah.
You may,
They have the phone records.
we get along, and he says the same thing to me. It's nothing personal.
Well,
that's
Mr.
him.
Mr. Moffett, then you want to tell me what you're suing your daughter for?
I collect funeraria and strange things, casket tags, odds and ends.
And?
I bought a plantation police badge off eBay.
And?
I had said something to Tracy about it, and about 10:30, 11 o'clock at one night, he calls me, drunkard, and he's going to come over to my house and beat the hell out of me and rape me.
We have,
That's a
We
lie.
have police reports,
Oh.
Your Honor. Like I said, the telephone
And,
things.
Ma'am, I talked to both of them
Just a second.
after.
And?
And I called the county police and filed a report.
Okay. I'd like to see the report that he filed.
You see, and this is the kind of, these are bad, shady people.
What kind of racial comment to him?
May
to you
I?
Did he? Shh. No, I'm asking him.
The comment was made to me, though, ma'am.
What did he say?
He said, tell Tracy he better have his freedom papers because I have a badge to arrest runaway slaves. Those were his words.
Oh, well, Mr. Crowley, you made a mistake, sir. You called back when the police were still there.
You're correct, Honor.
And you threatened him.
I just
You
basically told him
called
what's
back
over.
when the police were still there. The police told you not to call back, didn't they?
Yes, they did, Your Honor.
So what'd you call back for? So what'd you call back for?
I called back to let him know that that was it. It was done.
No, that's not what you said. That's not what the police said you said.
Well, I know.
That's not what the police said you said, Mr. Crowley, because you have a counterclaim. Your counterclaim is that you filed a false police report. Your
He did,
counterclaim's
Your Honor.
dismissed.
Right. Well,
Your
no,
counterclaim's dismissed.
Your Honor,
No,
and
the
police
counterclaim is
report-
not dismissed.
Oh, yeah, your counterclaim's dismissed.
He told the police that I was being held
Listen
against
to
my
me.
will.
Your counterclaim, sir, is dismissed. You want me to read what your countersuit is?
Yes.
My father made false allegations toward my fiancé, claiming that he threatened him.
He did not threaten him.
Just a second. That's what you wrote. Claiming my fiancé threatened him and he was holding me against my will. However, the police officer says right here, he told you not to call back, and you called back and said you blanked by calling the police.
Implying I will not have anything to do with them now.
Listen to me. Don't tell me implying anything, madam.
But that's what he meant.
Listen to me. Don't tell me implying anything. Your fiancé was told, don't call him. And he couldn't control himself, and he called him. His counterclaim is dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,600. That's
Hold
all.
on. Wait,
Step
wait,
out.
wait.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The job was completed for what we got paid for, but it was not a business transaction. It was helping out family members.
Those weren't the windows I wanted. They did not finish work. That I paid them for labor that they did not do.
He's racist and he does not like him, and that's what this is really all about.
As far as being a racist, I'm also American Indian and white. I'm mixed race also.
I'm just going to walk away from it all.
I want nothing to do with her. The only one I would love to have anything to do with is my niece.
There is no relationship.
Don't hire family for sure.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Pangburn versus Teague. Step forward.
25-year-old Shalon Pangburn is suing her former friend, 19-year-old Austin Teague, for a cell phone termination fee and the cost of a new phone.
Miss Pangburn, you knew the defendant, I assume, from the mall where he works?
Yes, ma'am.
And he worked in a phone store?
Yes, ma'am.
Just friends from the mall?
Yes, ma'am.
Never saw each other outside the mall?
No, ma'am.
Okay. He works in a phone store. He had a phone. I don't know what kind of phone it was. He had a red phone. You had a blue phone. You wanted his red phone. He said, okay, we'll switch phones, which is what you did. You took his red phone. He took your blue phone. You took it and you opened up an account and your phone broke. And you went to him and said, phone's broken. And he said, well, can't help you. It was working when I can't help you. It was working when I gave it to you. Gave you a loaner for a brief period of time. You want him to pay for the cost of the phone and the cost of the termination fee for your phone.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's the case. Whose idea was it to swap phones?
It was his. I had talked to him about getting that phone.
What do you mean? You would talk to him about buying a new
Talked to him
red phone?
Yes, ma'am. I talked to him about purchasing the new red phone, and he came upon the idea of just buying the blue phone. He would take the blue phone and I would take the red phone.
How much did your red phone cost?
About $500.
And how much did her blue phone cost?
Roughly about the same price.
Is that right?
I paid $262.49 for it.
I was doing the outright price. I wasn't doing the contract. Outright prices are about the same price. My phone's about $200-300 out, with the contract in it, but outright is about $500.
And is her phone the same?
Yes, her phone's about $450, $475.
Now, what was it about her phone that made it more desirable for you?
My phone's a touchscreen phone. I actually didn't like it too much, and her phone was not touchscreen at all.
How long had you had your phone?
Like a month and a half.
How long had you had your phone?
I had never purchased. I never even had the phone in my possession. Austin took control of the phone before I even had it.
So you bought a new blue phone?
A brand new phone, yes, ma'am. I never even had the phone in my possession.
And for $262, without a contract, you got his phone that was a $500 phone.
That included the contract.
Now, on what date did you switch phones?
That was October 27, 2007.
Did you make any phone calls at all on that phone?
No, ma'am. When I actually received the phone, it was not working. And that's when I talked to Austin and told him that the touch screen, which is the only way to use the phone, was not working.
In the store?
Correct.
And what did he say to you?
Well, he spent probably about 45 minutes trying to get the touch screen to work, and he never could. At that point, he got a brand new phone out of its box and told me while he was trying to fix my phone, I could use that phone.
And that happened in the store on the same date, on the 27th of October?
Yes, ma'am.
So he gave you a loaner phone?
Yes, ma'am.
And then what happened?
I got a text message, or I believe a phone call about a week later from Austin saying that he needed the loaner phone back that his boss was doing inventory, and if that phone was missing, he was going to lose his job.
Okay, so you brought that one back.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now you have no phone.
Correct.
All right, Austin. Let me hear you, sir.
Okay. So when she came in, I had the phone, my red phone, in my possession. I was using it on it, just using it. She saw me using it, and as soon as I handed it to her,
Don't tell me what she saw.
as soon as we made the swap for the phones, it stopped working out of nowhere. She walked away with it after I tried.
Just a second. You handed her the phone,
Yes.
and you were standing there with her.
No, ma'am. I walked away. I was on the phone with the wireless company to get it activated. I walked away, and then she told me that it was not working after I handed her the phone.
Okay.
But it was working when I handed
But
it.
she was still in the store.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
So then I was, like she said, I was there about 45 minutes trying
Just
to...
a second. So you were there 45 minutes trying to get it to work.
Yes, ma'am.
At that point, did she ask you for her phone back?
No, ma'am.
You said, I'm going to give you a loaner phone
Yes, ma'am.
until I get your phone to work.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you get her phone to work?
No, ma'am. But I also offered her an insurance plan, which she could call the wire...
It doesn't make any difference. You didn't comply with your contract. The contract took place when you handed her the phone. She said it doesn't work, and you said, I'm giving you a loaner phone until I get your phone to work.
Yes, ma'am.
Then when she came back, Austin, and you couldn't get her phone to work, you said, well, now I'm going to give you an alternate plan. You can do this, and you can hop over here, and you can jump through here. And she chose not to do that. That wasn't the contract. That was your getting out of the contract. She chose not to do that. So you owe her the money. Now, she had a phone that she gave you that cost her $262.
Yes, ma'am.
And how much was your disconnect fee?
The termination fee was $400 for not returning the phone.
That's $662.
Correct.
That's what you owe her, Austin.
Okay.
Shouldn't have given her a broken phone, sir, which is what you did. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $662. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It was just a business deal gone bad. That's all it was.
I'm very glad that it was in my favor.
Just the contract being...
Suing Kim's son, 23-year-old Ralph Smith, for the balance on a truck. The plaintiffs claim Ralph wrecked the vehicle and then stopped paying for it.
All rise. Now, it's case number 3 on the calendar in the matter of Weishart versus Smith. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, ma'am. Have a seat.
Whose son is he?
My son.
Well, we have a son and we have a stepson.
That's my son, his stepson.
How long have the two of you been married?
15 years in September.
And how old are you?
23.
How long have you been together?
16 years.
So you were a little boy, so I can understand when you said he's ours. According to your complaint, you co-signed a car for him.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
How old were you when they co-signed for this car loan?
20.
You don't have to reach in. This modern technology will actually pick up your voice if you stand straight. Now, the agreement that you had with your parents was that you were going to make the payments on the car. Is that right?
For the first year.
I'm going to get back to your year agreement in 1 second, because that sounds sort of interesting. In any event, what happened was he made sporadic payments on the car, and then he totaled the car.
So what actually happened was we co-signed for the truck for him. He was doing very well at that time. They had just had their son, bought a new home, had a good job, and was doing very well. So we co-signed.
He totaled the car, and you're making payments on it, on the loan.
That's correct.
Now, you want him to take over those payments. That's what the case is about, right?
Yes, about paying his truck payments.
Right. They co-signed the car, and you're going to convince me, sir, why I should believe that you only agreed to make the payments for the first year.
Yes, I am.
And I tell you, I am all ears.
Okay, first, my parents flew into Tennessee from Texas, and he asked me, did we want to go out and look at trucks? Because my car seat wouldn't fit in my car, really, for my child, and his golf clubs wouldn't fit in there. So anyway, we go to look at cars, and he's saying he likes this truck and asked me if I like it. And I say, yeah, I like it, you know. And he's telling me how I need a truck for my car seat, for his golf clubs, for when they come into town, they can drive it, and I could drive it while they weren't in town.
Keep going. Come on.
That's
Let's
it.
go.
I paid the first year's payments. I had money saved up from income taxes, and I told him I could make the first year's payment, and he said, don't worry about it, we'll make the rest.
How many vehicles do you have?
2.
One for you and one for?
Them.
One for them.
Yeah, the wrecked one.
Oh, we're not talking about the truck. How many vehicles did you have at the time that you were making the payments?
I had one before the truck, including the truck too.
And what did you do with the second one?
I sold it so I could put the money down for the truck.
Good. And did you put the money down for the truck?
Yes, I did.
How much?
$1,000.
Were you supposed to keep the insurance on the truck?
Yes, I was.
Did you do that?
No.
Why not?
Because I canceled it about 3 weeks before I had the accident.
Why?
Because I had bought a new house, and I'd rather have my house than my truck, so I can at least sleep in it.
Well, that was ridiculous. You don't drive a car without insurance. What would happen if you hit somebody and really hurt them?
I would be in trouble.
Right. And what do you think's going to happen to you today because you didn't have insurance?
I don't know. I guess that's up to you.
You're right.
So we have pictures of the truck. We also have a copy of the loan agreement and then where we paid the truck payments from our checking, if you would like to see any of those.
I also have some evidence also. They had co-signed for the car that I had sold. That's what I had told him. That car ran fine. I didn't need another vehicle, but...
You just told me that the car seat for your baby didn't fit in your car.
It did. He said it didn't fit good enough.
No, you told me it didn't fit.
It fit. I mean, we had to drive him around for a few months before then, so he had to fit somehow.
Not necessarily.
Well, you think we rode down the road with him in our lap?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Your Honor, that was casual conversation when we came in to visit into town. We were going somewhere, and he was struggling to get the car seat in the car. And that's when I said, wow, you just need to go get a new vehicle. You know, I recommended getting a truck with an extended cab as well so that it could put the baby seat in and out of the truck easily.
Who did you hit in this truck?
A pile of rocks.
Were you drunk?
No.
Did you fall asleep?
No. It's the first time I had been down this road, and we were going to where we live.
Well, a pile of rocks doesn't move, sir. This is a lot of damage to do on the car.
It was summer, and the trees were sprung out, obviously, and they have a stop sign, ahead sign, and it's only about 3 feet before the stop sign. With the trees bloomed out, you couldn't really see it at nighttime. So I went to stop and...
So whose fault do you think that is?
Mine. I have the car anyway, like I was saying, that I had before. They co-signed for it. I paid every payment on it. I had 1 year lease, and I paid it off in 10 months.
Well, sure. You know why? Because you still have it.
Why would I not pay the truck if...
Because of something that you just told me, sir, which was that you wrecked it. And you wrecked it at a time when you had no insurance on it, and you didn't have insurance on it because you chose to put money into your house rather than pay your car insurance. That's why you didn't pay them. That's the difference. Got to just answer your question?
No.
Well, I think I answered it. You may not like the answer, but I answered it.
That's not why I didn't pay the payments. I did not pay the payments because I was only supposed to pay 1 year, and that's what I paid.
Did you make any payments, sir, after you totaled the truck?
No, I didn't, because my
Did you make payments before you totaled the truck?
Yes, I did. But it was 1 year, and it had just so happened that...
You mean just serendipitously? You wrecked the truck on the first-year anniversary. That was serendipitous.
It was a month after. It was a month after he wrecked it. And, Your Honor, for that month of May, which made it up to a year, he didn't make that payment either. He was having a hard time at home with his family. They weren't getting along too well.
Why weren't you getting along too well with your family?
Because we were pinched for money. That's why I had to cancel my insurance. We wasn't making bills. We were stressed out.
Well, that's unfortunate. Did you buy a house that was too much for you?
No, I did not. I bought a truck that was too much for me for 1 year, I guess, and didn't pay the insurance.
No, because if you were stressed out, then you're stressed out over more than just a truck payment.
Exactly.
Then what you do is say, listen, I have to sell this truck, and I have to buy transportation because we need transportation, but I can't afford this truck. You don't just stop paying. Does your wife work?
Yes, she does.
And you work?
Yes, I do.
How much do you earn?
$390 a week.
And your wife?
She earns $500 a week.
And your mortgage payment?
Zero. $350. We rent now. We sold that house.
Did you make a profit when you sold it?
Yes, I did.
And didn't pay a payment then either.
I bought a new
tax
vehicle.
check, not a new vehicle,
Well,
$1,400.
Listen, there's no
16.
question in my mind that it was very difficult for you to come here to sue him. How much did you have to pay on the truck?
We paid approximately up to $6,000. The first year from May of 05 to 06, we made payments on the truck every month. He had called
When
us
did he total the truck?
in June of 05.
So where have you been the last 2 years?
Well, it's kind of hard. I mean, you know, you love your children and you want what's best for them and you try to help them. And we had told him a couple times down the road, you know, when we felt like him and Susie were getting their lives together, that, hey, don't worry about paying us what you owe us on the truck. Just start paying the payments now, and we'll wipe the slate clean if you start paying the payments. And we've done that a couple of times for him.
4.
And he always says that he'll pay, and then when that month rolls around, he doesn't. So, and it's hard for a parent to take their child.
I don't say that. I never said I'd pay a payment after that year.
Oh, sure you did. It's ridiculous to
I
think
did not say
otherwise.
that.
Ridiculous to say otherwise. So the total amount of the payments were $13,263. Is that right? And he paid a year's worth.
He paid a year's worth.
And that's
well, just
from
short of
04.
one
I
month.
got right here what I paid.
It was
Where is
actually
the
11
truck?
months.
Where is the truck now? It was totaled?
It's sitting in my sister's driveway.
Where did you get this figure of $3,696 from?
Well, this is why, Your Honor. From May of '05, when we started making the payments, he called us at the end of May and said, look, I'm not going to be able to make May's payment. We said, all right, we'll help you out. By the time it was ready to make that payment, June had rolled in, and we said, okay, we'll make June for you as well. So there was 2 months, because we know they were struggling a little bit. And shortly after, he wrecked his truck. He totaled it. You know, he told us a few days later that he totaled it and that he had been drinking, so.
I want to know where you get the $3,696. Get there. Well, get there faster.
Okay.
It's $221.05 a month. There were a few months that he said that he was going to make the payment, did not make the payment, so there's late fees and things like that added on to that. So from the time that he wrecked the truck, which was June
June of 05.
05.
Yes, ma'am.
It was July 1st.
And it may be in July 1st. The end of June, maybe July 1st. But
Go ahead.
So anyways, from that point on, Your Honor,
Okay.
that's where we came up with the figure from.
Got it.
I have all my paperwork for the payments. I was only supposed to make 1 year's payment. I have them, and I have the paperwork where they co-signed before, and I made every payment and even paid it
I
off
believe
2
you
months
made every payment. You also had the car.
I
Stop
don't have the
making-
car. It's sold.
What you gave me here is the payments from your bank to West State Farm Bank. Is that where the truck was
Yes,
financed?
State
Yes.
Farm.
Very good. Listen, don't co-sign for anybody anymore, even your kid.
Yeah, this is our second time.
Huh?
This is
This is our
our
second
oldest daughter got us as well.
They probably made the same deal with her.
There's no deals. It's just trying to help your children.
Don't take advantage of your parents. They seem like very nice people.
I'm not taking advantage
Yeah,
of it.
judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,696. That's all. Step out.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I probably caused problems between us.
I think it's been a huge rip, but I'm hoping now that everything's settled through court that we can put it behind us and move on.
Hope everything is better, you know.
I'm relieved that it's all over.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Durlow versus Barrett. Step forward, please.
Paxton Durlow is suing tattoo artist Breezy Barrett for breach of contract on the bartering of a vehicle. Paxton says Breezy was supposed to tattoo him in exchange for a truck.
Mr. Durlow, you had a truck, and you traded your truck for services to be performed by the defendant, who's a tattoo artist. She paid some in cash for the truck, is that right? Correct. And the remainder was to be worked off in this barter arrangement. Is that right?
There was also a bike included in the deal as well. A
That
dirt
you
bike.
got?
Yes, correct.
Your claim is that Miss Barrett did half of the tattoo and then modified the agreement that you had to complete the tattoo by telling you that you could only come for your appointments between 9 and 12 at a time when you work, therefore requiring that you go to somebody else to have the tattoo finished.
Correct.
That's what you want to pay for, plus some harassment nonsense. Everybody's been harassed. You know who's most harassed here?
You.
And Miss Barrett says that you caused her to lose business because what you did was you kept canceling appointments. And in addition to that, you sexually harassed her. So she's counterclaiming. When did you make this deal with the truck?
I'm not exact on the dates at all. I mean, I have the contract, I guess, in here. So.
Okay, so let me have the
If I can-
contract, please. Okay, so the sales agreement requires that the tattoo is to be completed in 2-hour sessions, no more than 3 weeks apart, unless otherwise agreed to by the parties, and that's dated 7/21/06, correct? Correct.
Yes.
When did you start the tattoo?
I was already in the middle of tattoos. This deal came on after I was already getting work from her.
So when you were supposed to start it in 2-hour sessions, according to the agreement.
Yes, that would have been starting that date.
So what happened?
Well, the appointments were going well. Then I would get an occasional push. She would ask me if I could come in on a different day because there was a person that absolutely had to have that appointment. And it was a way for her to make money and that she was a sole provider for her home. So I agreed. And then it became redundant. And then
what?
I didn't agree any further. It started getting to where I couldn't get anything done.
Did you ever cancel appointments yourself?
The last time that I had an appointment to go to was one I canceled.
How many times did she change your appointment?
I believe 4 times, maybe even more.
And it was always because she had a paying customer?
A paying customer or something came up. She did have a mother who was terminally ill, which I fully understood. And she also changed appointments there too, which I did not consider in the claim.
Okay. When did she tell you about this business of only coming in the morning?
After a discussion of me not getting anything done, the whole conversation was via text, and I have it, if you'd like
I'd like
to
to see it.
Would you like to see pictures of the truck as well?
No.
Okay.
Not necessary. Breezy, you're Breezy, right?
Yes.
Here's your problem. It is clear to me that the two of you have a dispute in these text messages with regard to whose fault it was, etc. You know, clearly you were not yourself as a result of your mother's illness, because that's clear from these emails, and that there were certain stresses in your life. But when you say to him, in the future, you shouldn't off your artist until after the work is done, would be enough for me to say that you breached this contract and I wouldn't let you do any work on me. That's a threat. I mean, I don't know anything about tattoos except that I've seen them. They're done with needles, right?
Correct.
I wouldn't let anybody near me with a needle who said to me I wouldn't take any action until after it was all done and I was happy. You want to say anything to me?
I would love to.
Go ahead.
After 6 months of tattooing on him, I canceled 2 appointments.
Well, that's too many.
One being I'm a sole provider of my children. I only work 5 hours a day because I have preschool pickup, drop off, daycare closes.
Whatever. Listen,
Okay.
he's not your mother. He's not your
No,
sister.
he's
He's not your brother.
He was a friend.
Just a second. You canceled 2 appointments. Not tragic.
My second appointment I canceled was because his appointment was 2 days after my mother died.
You canceled the 2 appointments.
Okay.
Whatever. I'm not making a big deal out of
he
it.
called and made 4 appointments, 2 weeks, 2 hours back to back. No showed on every one of them. I only work 5 hours a day.
Show
you know
me.
show.
Show
It's
me.
right
He
here.
says that that's not true.
Right here.
It's in pencil, Your Honor.
It doesn't matter if it's in pencil.
Let me take a look at it.
That's my appointment book. Here's my apprentice who helps make all my appointments.
Do you remember independently making these appointments?
She wasn't there
Jump.
at that time.
Just a second. Just answer my question. Do you remember independently making these appointments? Yes or no?
During that point in time.
Just answer my
no.
question. Fine. Thank you. I want you to give me the date of the first appointment. Would you give that book back to her, please? Give me the date of the first appointment you say he missed.
Monday, January 15th.
What was the next one?
1907.
Well, that's not 2 weeks apart.
No, he called after no showing and said, sorry, can you get me in? So I did. I slid him in.
Okay, well, that's not 2 weeks apart. First, you told me he made appointments 2 weeks apart over a month and didn't appear. So now it's 1/15/07.
Okay.
Then Then you said he called you and said, I'm sorry, could you fit me in? You made it for 1/19/07, and then you say he didn't show up.
Then he had February 4th.
Go ahead.
Then he had February 16th.
Can you show me, Miss Berendt, anywhere in these text messages where you say that he missed appointments on the 15th, the 19th, or February 4th, which is why you decided to change the rule? Because you have a lot of emails going back and forth, a lot of bad language going back and, well, from your end. But there isn't, according to what I see here, one place where you wrote in your email that he missed appointments on January 15th, January 19th, or February 4th. And all of these text messages were written on February 6th. Not one place do you talk about 3 missed appointments.
Those are his text messages.
Show me yours.
He could have. That phone was dropped in the toilet.
Oh.
But he could easily have left off the first 4 emails for you.
He could have.
Yeah.
And your phone maybe could have been dried off from the toilet. You have to take care of the rest of his tattoo. That was your contract with him.
I never had a problem with that.
That
ever.
was your contract. How much will it cost to finish the tattoo?
It's an estimate because, I mean...
How much is the estimate?
I have it right here if you'd like to see it. He believes it to be between $1,440 and $1,800.
Can I see, please?
It depends on the work.
Where is it? Is it on your arm?
It's on both arms. And
Got it.
There's not more than $600 left there.
Well, then you should have done it yourself.
I would love to.
Well, you can't because you threatened him. Okay. Now, you also don't mention anywhere the sexual harassment that you talk about. You want to tell me about it?
Yeah, the entire time I worked on him, it was fondling me, grabbing on me. I leave my wife for you the whole time. That's why she's
good.
here.
Okay. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. The counterclaim's dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Because men can't suck up their pride and apologize.
Is suing his ex-girlfriend, 26-year-old Christy Bruffett, for lying about the paternity of her child. Tyrone claims Christy told him that he was the father.
All rise. This is case number 39, Your Honor, on the calendar in the matter of Smith versus Bruffett.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Mr. Smith, it is your claim that the defendant defrauded you and leading you to believe that you were the father of her child. You want attorney's fees and all kinds of compensatory damages. Ms. Bruffett says that you knew all along that you were not the baby's biological father, and she is counterclaiming for harassment and other stuff. I assume that there was a time that two of you were in a relationship.
Yes.
When was that?
2001.
Are you asking me? I wasn't there.
No, it was in 2001.
And when was your daughter born?
My daughter was born January 7th, 2001.
Were you together at the time?
Yes.
Yes, we were.
I'm going to go to you. Your answer suggests that Mr. Smith was aware all along that he was not the child's biological father. I'm going to hear your explanation with regard to that.
Yes, he was, Your Honor. We had started dating briefly when we were working together in December.
December of 2000?
Of 99.
December of 99.
Yes. He had left Minneapolis and went to Chicago for what he said would be a brief period of time when we first started dating, in turn being quite a few months.
How many months?
He left towards the end of January of 2000. He did not return until close to the end of April of 2000.
Is that right?
No. Ain't no way Chrissy told me that that little girl was mine, and I signed.
Whether you went to Minneapolis.
No. I was working in Minnesota, so ain't no way I left.
Okay, keep going, Miss Bruffett.
My child was conceived at the very beginning of April by Matthew Moore. When he returned, it was the end of April. He had known of me and Matthew's relationship, but was
Don't tell me what he knew. Tell me what you said to him.
I had told him that I was in a relationship when he had came back from Chicago. Matthew, in turn, towards the end of May, had left and decided he was moving to Florida, and me and Tyrone had started dating again then. But he knew I told him that I was pregnant before he had came back from Chicago in a phone conversation.
Is that right, sir?
No, ma'am.
Doesn't sound right to me.
No, ma'am.
Keep going.
Okay. Up through the pregnancy, we were together. We were dating all the way up and through my daughter was born. When my daughter was born, he had told me that throughout the whole time that he wanted to be a father to her. He would be that figure because Matthew was not going to return from Florida. Tyrone had told me that he wanted to be the one to step up to the plate. He would take care of her. We would be together. We had plans on being engaged or being married in the future. He had told me then that he didn't want his family to know he wasn't her father because they already did not approve of me and his relationship.
Yana, okay.
So at that point, we had decided that he was going to be her father figure. When she was born, I had told him that I wanted to leave the birth certificate blank in the case that Matthew were to ever return, and that was only fair. And he said that that wouldn't be viable to his family or mine. We argued back and forth about it.
How did this all play out then after 2001? That's what I want to know. Because right now, the child is 6 years old.
Exactly.
And so I want you to tell me, Mr. Smith, what happened 6 years later that brings you to court today?
Well, I was served papers for child support, and I hired myself a lawyer because I wanted
Who
to...
filed the petition for child support?
No,
He did, Your Honor.
she applied for welfare.
No, I didn't, Your Honor. I work full-time. I got papers in the mail being served that I was the defendant in a case regarding him taking me to court for visitation, and in turn meaning that he'd have to pay child support in our county in order to have visitation with my child. He brought the action, Your Honor. He is the plaintiff on both of these.
Well, there was a motion in Hennepin County for child support.
That was an action that he brought with
He brought
a
an
visitation.
action for what? For child support? To pay child support?
In our
You
county,
brought
you
an
have
action
to.
to pay child support, sir?
No.
I never heard of that. I've been a judge for a very long time. See, Miss Bruffett, my problem is he's fighting the child support in this action.
Exactly.
He's fighting it. He doesn't want to pay it. He's saying, listen, I have no money left. You know, I have a 5-month-old baby. I live. Here's my rent. Here's my lease on my apartment. Here's what I earn.
Yep.
I can't afford to pay any more child support, so I don't get the fact that he petitioned the court for child support. Now, why do you keep looking for her, sir?
Ain't nobody looking for Chrissy.
You weren't looking for her?
No.
I have
For what
police reports
reason?
to that effect, Your Honor.
I'd like to see the police report, please. The only indication here that's interesting is he said he wanted to come over to see the child they have in common. And victim, that would be you, advised that he couldn't come over and that he's not supposed to be calling. So he said, I want to come over to see my daughter. And you said he couldn't. You didn't say it's not your daughter.
Ain't no way I called.
Shut.
Okay.
I do also have that actually in a court finding paper that when we were in court in front of a judge for this order for protection 2004, that I was very adamant through all of that she was not his child, and I just wanted him to leave me alone. That's all I've ever asked, is that he just leave us alone.
Sir, what I want to know is why you're here now in 2007, when in 2004, she clearly told you that you were not the father of this child.
Right.
She told you that.
Exactly.
3 years ago.
Yep.
What woke you up now?
What woke me up now was, I don't know, it took
Your
me,
Honor, he has been harassing me for 6.5 years. This is just another form. I'm sorry.
What woke me up, I don't know.
Well, why don't you say something to try to wake me up, sir? She told you at least 3 years ago. Listen to me. At least 3 years ago.
Right.
At least 3 years ago, she insisted before a judge that you are not the father of the child.
Why she didn't let that be known to the child support people then?
Listen, I don't see any of those papers. I mean, you don't have those papers. What you gave me were papers where, in the matter of the child, you are the plaintiff.
Exactly.
You're the plaintiff, not the county. You're the plaintiff.
Otherwise, Your Honor, he have papers to the effect of Hennepin County.
And that's
Tyrone.
July of 2006.
Exactly.
July 2006.
Listen, if you're going to agree with me once more, I'm going to throw you out and grant this petition. Do you understand?
Okay.
Good. I don't get it.
Yeah, I'm kind of lost too. You got me lost too.
Well, I'm kind of lost too. I mean, you were told by a judge 3 years ago that she says you're not the father of the child. And now you want attorney's fees and court costs and everything else for an attorney that you just hired 3 years later in order to get visitation and have a blood test done, and you want the blood test done. She told you weren't the father.
Yana, I had to hire that lawyer because I didn't have an address. I didn't know how to serve her
Your
her
Honor,
papers.
my address is private from him.
She put an order of protection on me, so ain't no way I can get her address.
Exactly.
What did you need her address for?
So she can get served her papers.
What papers?
For
I don't want to hear you. Don't you get it?
To see, visitation.
You know, I don't think that you're worried about him because you keep interrupting him. You know, if you were cowering and worried about him, as you indicate you are in your answer, then you wouldn't be freely contradicting him. Now, when was the last time, Miss Bruffett, that you alleged that Mr. Smith bothered you?
The last incident was the last job that I had to leave because of him when I filed for that last order for protection.
Would you give
in
me the
2004.
date, please?
It was February of 2004.
Well, that's a long time ago. It's over. Put a period. Finished.
Yeah.
Not a good idea, if I believe you, which I'm sort of on the fence about. Not a good idea to insert somebody else's name on a birth certificate that is not biologically related to a child. It confuses the child. Put your hand down. Do you understand?
I do.
Unfair.
I do.
Unfair. Look what happens. She go try to get a kidney from him. And what'll happen when she's 18? Ridiculous. Mr. Smith, you are finally free.
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Thank you.
I am. I dodged the aunt.
And Miss Bruffett would really like you to leave her alone.
Been there, done that. Long time
And
ago.
I think that you're going to leave her alone.
Oh, yeah. Been there, done that. I got a wife and a son that needs me more than anybody, you know.
Your case is dismissed. It's over. Finished. Put a period. So is yours. Finished. Over. It's dismissed. Goodbye.
Thanks, John.
Parties are excused, sir. Stay here.
This is just, like I said, another form, another way to get at me, another way to find me, seek me out.
Ain't nobody thinking about a big... Come on, now.
I'm sure there'll be something else in the future.
For some attention.
I wish him the best. Hope he's happy with his new family.
Kind of sad because I didn't get the money that I had to pay for that lawyer.
Just leave me alone.
But it's all good.
For fraudulently representing himself as a divorce attorney. She is asking for the return of his fee.
Miss Forsythe, it is your claim that the defendant fraudulently held himself out to be an attorney.
Yes, sir.
You gave him money in order to help you procure a divorce from your husband, and the papers were never properly filed, according to you. You want your money back.
Yeah.
Mr. Taylor says that he never told you he was a lawyer. He was trying to help you out and do you a favor, and he did everything that he was supposed to do, and you're entitled to no money back. How did you meet him?
Actually, I had seen one of his signs posted up on a telephone pole.
Can I see it, please?
And during the time, I was being evicted, so I originally contacted him to help me with an eviction.
Okay, just a second. Shh. Is this your sign, sir?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
Okay. So you called him, and did he help you?
Yes. Yes, the eviction went through just fine, just as he promised. And shortly after that, I had contacted him to assist me in my divorce. And he said he could help me out. He did family law.
Did he have an office that you went to previously?
I never went to the office, no. He always came and met me places.
How much did you pay him the first time?
The first time, I believe it was $375.
For the eviction?
For the eviction, yes.
Now, when you called him and told him that you'd had a family law problem, did he indicate to you that he did that sort of work?
Yeah.
What did he say?
On the business card that I had, it listed family law as one of his services.
Do you have a copy of the business card?
I don't have the original business card that he gave me, but I do have a copy.
I'd like to see it.
And it does state attorney at law.
Where did you get this copy from?
On my contract, that address right there, when I went there looking for him when I was trying to get my money back, the leasing manager there, she gave me the copy of that business card. But that's the exact same business card that I had.
You recognize this card?
No, Your Honor, I don't. No.
Is this a copy of your contract, sir?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
And, Your Honor, I do have...
This says it is understood by all parties that Inland Valley Legal Service staff members are not practicing attorneys at law.
Yes. I read that after the fact, and then I saw his card, and I said, well, to myself...
No, you don't have his card. You have something that you claim somebody else gave you, so you can throw that away. That's nonsense.
And Your Honor,
that's nonsense.
But I wanted to prove that he was also giving this business card to other people.
Listen to me. If you had the business card, that would be one thing.
I know.
But you don't.
I lost it.
And this is something that somebody else gave you.
Yes, ma'am.
and Your Honor, if I may...
You may not. I'm not finished yet.
All right.
Now, so what you're telling me is you didn't read this before you signed it?
No, I did. And when I saw his business card that said attorney at law, I presumed, I know that is very wrong, but I presumed that he was the supervising attorney for Inland Valley Legal. And when I confronted him about what it says where his signature is at, the staff representative, why it didn't say attorney at law, he said it was a typographical error that his assistant made.
Your Honor, that's not true.
So, according to this, it says that you're signing on for these people, to paraphrase, to do all the paperwork for you, but they are not lawyers. You understand that they are not lawyers. They cannot represent you in court as lawyers. That you will be appearing pro se, which means yourself. Now, he was supposed to get papers together. Did he get the papers together for you?
He did, and he did not.
Just a second. Got the papers together for you.
Semi.
What do you mean semi? The only thing that wasn't done, according to what I read, was the fact that he prepared the papers for you for your divorce, but your husband is in prison. Is that right? And that it's very difficult to serve someone in prison because you have to go through a whole process. You have to serve the warden of the prison, you have to serve the commissioner of corrections, all of that stuff. That's not something he was doing. That was something he told you to do. That's what he says.
No. That is something he told me to contact the prison, get the information where he needed to send it to, which I did. I told him that it needs to be sent to the litigation coordinator in the prison, and he sends me a proof of service by mail by the third time I went to court and said the first one didn't have the correct address on it, and the second one he had taken in there and wrote in there the rest of the information. And he said he was going to handle all of that for me.
Now I got it. So the problem was that the papers were never properly served on your husband.
Exactly.
And in order for you to be divorced, he has to be properly served.
Of course.
So now let us assume that if she didn't read these papers, that's her problem. That you've clearly made out in the papers that you are a staff representative. That's what it says, not the attorney in charge.
That's right.
She doesn't know how to read. That's not my problem. That's not your problem.
Exactly.
Okay. My problem is you undertook, and I believe her, to have these papers properly served on the defendant. You undertook to do that, at least on 2 separate occasions. What happened?
Well, by me not actually being an attorney during the divorce...
And I want you to understand something, sir. I'm smarter than she is. So if you're going to give me a lot of who shot John...
Oh, no, I'm
going to annihilate you.
I'm going to make it very
I'm going to
brief.
annihilate you.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
right? So don't try to smooth talk me like you can smooth talk them. It doesn't work, right? I don't need anything from you, and I don't like you. Do you understand? Because I think that you take advantage of people.
Okay.
But let us see if you took advantage of this lady. Okay. Let's go. You tried to serve him once, and you had the wrong address, correct?
No, Your Honor.
Go.
When we went down to the court to file the documents for the divorce, I gave Miss Forsythe all of the copies of the documents in order for her to have her husband served because she informed me that he was incarcerated. I informed her that it would be impossible for me to serve him by him being incarcerated because the only person that would be able to go to the prison would be an actual attorney to see this man.
That's not true.
Well, that was my understanding.
Well, that's why you shouldn't be giving out legal advice, sir. That was your last mistake. That was your last mistake. That was legal advice that you just gave her without looking it up in the books. Because every jurisdiction has a provision for how prisoners are to be served. And you don't have to be his wife in order to serve him.
Exactly.
And you don't have to be his lawyer in order to serve him. That's what you have process service for, or you have proper service that can be done by mail. You may serve in person the commissioner of prisons. You may serve the warden of the prison. Do you understand, sir? So you gave her legal advice. And by giving her legal advice, you practiced law without a license. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Wasn't that simple? How much money did she pay you?
I believe she paid me a total of $325.
How much money did you pay her?
$425. You have the receipts.
$425.
Yes, ma'am.
$425. You have to give that back to her, sir, because by making that simple statement to her, here are the papers, you have to have him served because somebody has to go up there and serve him personally because I can't go up there. You gave her advice, and it was wrong advice. Just prepare the papers. That's what you're entitled to do.
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $425.
Thank you.
Is suing her ex-boyfriend, 26-year-old Joseph Siegert, for loans to retain an attorney and to repair his credit. Erica also claims Joseph assaulted her.
All rise. Yeah, this is case number 123 on the calendar, the matter of Heskett versus Siegert.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Miss Hesketh, the defendant used to be your boyfriend.
Yes, ma'am.
And you, as so many other women who have appeared before me over the years, gave him some money.
Yes,
a
ma'am.
lot of money.
Yes, ma'am.
And you don't look like a very, very rich girl, so you look as if this money really put a dent in your wallet.
Yes, ma'am.
In addition, you claim not only to have given him money, but to have been the victim of his bad temper.
Yes, ma'am.
You claim that he assaulted you, and you want him to be responsible for that as well. Mr. Siegert says that there was, over the course of your relationship, money moved back and forth. There was never any understanding that he was going to repay this money that you gave him. He doesn't much talk about the assault, but he will today. So, when did you and the defendant start to live together?
Ma'am, we first started living together around 13 September of '06.
And did you move in together to a place, or did he move into your apartment?
Ma'am, he's on parole. He got released from parole and got what is called live-outs. So therefore, he was given permission to live with me in my condo and do a work release type program.
What were you in prison for, Mr. Siegert?
I was DWI. It was a suspended sentence, Your Honor.
So you weren't in prison?
No, ma'am.
When did you move into her apartment, sir? On September 13th?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what was the financial arrangement, Mr. Siegert, when you moved into her apartment?
There wasn't none. There was no agreement whatsoever. And when I basically found another place, which was back at my parents', then I moved out.
When was that?
Well, September 13th, I moved in, so I would say October and November was when we were splitting up a lot, fighting.
Is that right?
Ma'am, he moved out the 13th of December, and that was the final day when all the stuff got removed from my residence.
Okay, so let's hear about the money you claim he owes you.
Okay, around the 26th of August, he had to go down to Texas for his child support hearing. Basically, he owed around $15,000 in back child support. They were going to throw him in jail, and he had to go to court down there. He stressed the importance of being able to see his daughter and have his daughter into his life, and really was upset and asked me for help. I went at that time with him to City Financial Bank, and I took out a loan for $5,000. I then turned around and deposited that money into my account. I transferred $3,000 from savings to checkings on the 29th so I could write the check of check number 1222.
For what?
For his attorney, for the retainer.
And how did you get the name of the attorney?
He had provided the name of the attorney, ma'am.
And how did you get the city and state of the attorney?
He provided it, ma'am.
And how did you get the amount that was owed the attorney?
He provided it, ma'am.
Did you speak to the attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
And you got the telephone number from?
The defendant.
Is that all correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, when you sent this money down, what kind of discussion did you have with Mr. Siegert with regard to the money?
Ma'am, he promised that he would pay me back on the monthly payments that were due, and he claimed that
Because this was a loan that you were going to be paying back. You didn't just take money out of your bank. And how much were the monthly payments?
They were around $148 a month.
That's a pretty exact number. Were they $148 a month?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So that's the first amount of money. What else?
The other amounts that I helped him out with was basically the rent, which we had the agreement.
Forget rent. If you didn't pay the rent the first month, you should have kicked him out. Anything else?
I don't believe so.
Now you want to tell me about when this assault allegedly took place?
Yes, ma'am. The assault happened on 31 December at around 12:30 in the morning. The defendant came over. He had still had house keys since he had previously moved out on the 13th. He came in. He was drunk at the time, came into my bedroom, was trying to talk to me while he was drunk. I told him to get out. We got into a fight because I threatened to call the police. And basically, he slapped the cell phone out of my hands. He grabbed me. I was on the chair, and he pinned me down. He had one hand over my nose and one over my mouth, and he says, "How does it feel knowing that I've got your life in my hands?" I then told him to get off. I couldn't catch my breath, and I proceeded to just get extremely dizzy and sick.
And he left?
He left, but he took my vehicle in the process.
Okay, did he return the vehicle?
The cops contacted him. The vehicle got returned.
You called the police?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you arrested that day, sir?
No, Your Honor.
How did they get the car?
I ended up bringing it back to her because reported phone calls and stuff like that and threats. So I brought it back. I didn't want any more conflict whatsoever. But if you don't mind, Your Honor, the only evidence I have against that assault is right here from my PO stating...
Don't tell me what your PO states.
Okay.
Let's get to this money that Ms. Haskett laid out for you. $3,000 you acknowledge she gave towards your attorney.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, was this a retainer for an attorney, or was this to pay your child support?
An attorney.
An attorney for what?
For child support, I was fighting for custody and to take care of the back child support.
Why were you fighting for custody?
Well, I wanted to get my rights back.
What rights?
The standard visitation rights.
So, well, there's a difference between custody and visitation. So what were you fighting for?
Just my visitation. And to get back child support readjusted.
Well, did you get the back child support readjusted?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
To what?
It is down to about $7,000. And now I'm paying extra each month to get it back down.
Wouldn't it have been smarter to save the $3,000 for the lawyer and just give $3,000 to your child?
I couldn't. I had to fight for myself. Because if I did not go down there and get it reduced, yes, I would have went to jail. Because it was an outrageous amount.
Well, how much was it a week?
It was a week. They didn't know my income right at the time because...
But don't tell me what they didn't know. I asked you a specific question. What was the amount of child support you were supposed to pay?
$384 a month.
Well, that's not an outrageous amount.
Well, it's, for one child, you don't get a C.
How much were you supposed to pay that you didn't pay a month?
$384 a month, Your Honor.
That was not an exorbitant amount.
No, it wasn't.
Why didn't you pay it?
Because I wasn't seeing her. She wouldn't let me.
Why didn't you go to court?
I was in the process of it. I didn't have the money.
You don't need money to go to court. Every domestic relations court in this country, you can appear pro bono if you want to, if it's important to you.
Very.
If it was important to you, that's what you do.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Where did you think you were coming today? To the beach?
I didn't think it would be brought up.
Why didn't you think it would be brought up?
Didn't cross my mind. I was thinking about
You have no mind.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Erica Heskett says ex-boyfriend Joseph Siegert owes for loans and an assault.
In any event, why should Miss Haskett pay this $3,000 for a lawyer that you needed to keep you out of jail because you didn't pay child support?
Because I actually had an agreement with my attorney on payment plans.
So why didn't you pay her? She has to pay $148 a month. How much were you supposed? If you were supposed to pay your lawyer a payment plan, how much were you supposed to pay your lawyer a month?
It was going to be $100 a week.
$100 a week, which is $400 a month.
Yes.
Well, this was only $148 a month. Why didn't you pay her?
She was paid, Your Honor.
How?
By cash,
No, that's not what you say here. I have your answer. And when you had time to write this answer, you had time to reflect. So don't give me a lot of baloney. The only thing that you say here is that you gave her a $2,800 settlement check. It's the only thing that you say that you gave her. Am I correct? That's what you say here. And you say there was money back and forth. But as far as this $3,000 is concerned, what you say, Mr. Siegert, is she took it upon herself to pay the lawyer. I never asked her.
She did. That's exactly how it went. She was being...
Who are you?
I'm his mother.
I would suggest you be quiet. So far, you haven't done a good job.
But, Your Honor, I...
Got it?
Yeah.
And I would keep the relationship to myself, especially today.
Your Honor, I did not ask her to go get the $3,000.
What I'm asking you, sir, is if you had an arrangement with the lawyer to give him $100 a week,
Yes.
which is $400 a month, and she laid it out, why didn't you give her the $400 a month until the $3,000 was paid off?
It was paid off, Your Honor.
Tell me how. That's what
By
I'm
a
listening.
settlement check. I was getting at it.
Well, then
I
get
got
there.
it. I received it in January 7th.
Settlement check for what?
I was fired for wrongful reasons.
Did you receive that $2,800
No, ma'am.
check?
No, ma'am.
Show me proof.
I have no proof, Your Honor, due to the fact that she entered my house a while back and took all my receipts and contracts
Mr.
everything
Siegert,
for that.
Mr. Siegert, I believe you this much, sir,
believe
because
that.
all you have to do is call whoever sent you the settlement check. Get a copy of it, because if she endorsed it, they would have gotten it back, right?
I have a copy of
Show me.
Of the settlement at my house.
Just a second. You have a copy of the settlement at your house. Where did you think you were coming today? To the beach?
I didn't think it would be brought up.
Well, of course it would be brought up, sir. That's what you wrote in your answer. Why didn't you think it would be brought up?
Didn't cross my mind. I was thinking about
You
the
have no
assault.
mind. You owe her the $3,000. Now, let's hear your version of the events of the 31st of December when you entered her home.
I don't recollect hardly anything whatsoever
Why?
because I don't drink. I don't drive.
Well, you did drive because you just told me that you returned her car to her. So you clearly drove.
Well, not personally.
What do you mean not personally?
Well, because I was paying for a vehicle that I could not drive yet.
Look at you. I want you to look at your mother's face. Your mother is looking at you and saying, I really wish I wasn't here. Why
That
didn't
makes
I
two of
send
us, Your
somebody else? You have other children?
Yes.
You have older children?
Yes.
Why didn't I send one of the older kids with him? Why am I subjecting myself to sitting here and having a television camera on me, listening to this child that I reared? Listen, tell me about the 31st of December.
31st of December. Yes, she did call and report that I did assault her. As I know.
want you to tell me not what she did.
Your Honor, I honestly don't know what I did exactly on the 31st, but I know what
Because
she
you
said
were what?
I didn't do. What's that?
Because you were drinking?
No, Your Honor.
Well, if you don't know what you were doing on the 31st of December, either you were drinking or drugging or something.
Either I was working or sleeping. That was my life, Your Honor. I was on parole. That's what my life is now. I don't do anything that she says I do. Drink, drive, commit crimes, all that stuff. I've made my mistake, and I pay for it.
Not yet.
Obviously.
How many grandchildren does your mother have?
She has one, Your Honor.
Does she see that one grandchild?
Sorry, I apologize. She has three. One from me and two from my sister.
You don't have to bend down. We can hear you. Does she see the grandchild that is your child?
No.
Is that her choice, your choice, or the child's choice?
Neither. The mother's choice. That's why I'm in a battle.
Maybe you wouldn't be in such a battle if you paid your child support.
It's being paid, Your Honor.
Well, people usually don't go on an eating hiatus, Mr. Siegert,
Right.
including children. They have to eat regularly. They have to be clothed regularly. So the fact that you went on a child support hiatus doesn't necessarily endear you to the mother of your child.
Your Honor, I'm not saying that I didn't. Well, I didn't pay the child support. I'm not saying I didn't have her on and off. I had her. She got her money, but it wasn't recorded. That's what I'm saying. Now it's legal through the courts, and they didn't adjust anything, and that's why it's being adjusted from what I did already pay.
Listen, Miss Hassett, you weren't together with him very long. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Good for you.
I made a mistake.
You made a mistake.
A big one.
So right now, what you really out is $3,000. You have no difference in your rent, even though you say that he promised to pay you rent. He lived with you 3 months. You still living in the same condo?
Yes, ma'am.
You have a roommate?
No, ma'am.
Right. So your primary problem is that you are stuck with this $3,000 loan that you took out to pay for his lawyer, and that he's responsible to pay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused.
I found him when he was in a hard time of his life. I tried to help him out.
It's trying to keep me around by buying stuff, obviously.
He wanted to see his daughter.
It was nice, considerate stuff. I mean, I'm not complaining about it.
I just told him you can't buy love.
I don't know what goes through her mind anymore.
I am who I am, and I guess I'm a sucker.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Allen versus Stevens. Step forward.
22-year-old Lindsay Allen is suing eBay seller 26-year-old Karen Stevens for selling her a fake Louis Vuitton purse. Karen insists the purse is real.
Miss Allen, you purchased what you believe to be an authentic designer bag on the internet from the defendant. I think you paid $250 for it. When it arrived, it was your belief that it was a fake.
Yes.
And you spent another $35 to have someone examine it. And you are going to be showing me, according to your complaint, that it was determined that the bag was, in fact, a fake.
Yes.
Ms. Stevens says there is no way that the bag was fake, and she's going to prove to me that the bag was authentic. Can I see the bag, please?
Yes.
Why did you want this bag, by the way?
I've always wanted an authentic Louis Vuitton purse. I did not know that what I was getting was a replica. I do have a real one here to compare.
I'd like to take a look at it, please.
The serial number on the authentic one is underneath the pouch.
This pouch?
Yeah, the interior pouch, right underneath it.
Oh, you would never know that unless you looked very carefully.
And there's no serial number on the replica as well. As you can see also, the stitching is uneven. In authentic Louis Vuitton purses, the stitching is usually close to perfect.
There are several things that are different.
Yes.
There is no authentication on the lock, and there is an authentication on the lock on this one. Have you ever examined a real one as compared to this one?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Stevens, what do you do for a living?
I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I sell on eBay.
Where did you get this bag from?
My mom.
Where did she get it from?
A good friend of hers. It was actually a gift.
Well, it's a fake.
I don't believe that it is.
Yeah, it is. Sure it is. Would you send it back to her? She's going to look at several things. First of all, she's going to look at the piping. She's going to look at the serial numbers inside. She's going to look at the lock. First, take a look at the lock on both. Take a look at the lock on the real one. Turn it over. One also has a serial number on the bottom. The one that you sold her does not.
Yes.
Now open up the real one. Open up the flap, and you'll see a serial number underneath the flap. See the serial number?
Yes.
Open up yours. See a serial number?
No, I do not.
Got it?
Yes, I do.
Okay. You look like a very nice lady. She wants her money back. When did she call you and tell you that she wanted her money back?
She emailed me after receiving the purse saying that it was fake, and I said that I didn't believe that it was. And if she did believe that it was fake, I sent 7 different very detailed pictures to her of the purse that show the stitching. If she had any idea that it wasn't authentic or thought that it wasn't, I sent extra pictures.
Listen to me. You sent her the pictures for her to try to prove that it was a real purse.
Exactly.
But it's not.
But why did she not argue that if she thought that it was? Because I'm not a cheater or a stealer.
Now, I understand that, but she wanted her money back. And if you had said, listen, if you're dissatisfied with the purse, I'll give you your money back, we wouldn't be here today. But in order for her to prove to you that it was fake, she took it to somebody to authenticate it. Do you have the report? Can I see it, please?
Yes.
Okay. You want to sell things? That's what happens. I mean, if you don't know that something is authentic and you advertise it as a Louis Vuitton bag, you're advertising it as an authentic Louis Vuitton bag. Yes. Turns out that it is not an authentic Louis Vuitton bag. I can see that. I've shown you some examples of where you can look and see it. I don't think you're a dishonest lady. I think you thought perhaps she was mistaken. Maybe you thought she was trying to scam you and would send you back a different bag, which is what you say in your answer. In the meantime, the big bag goes back to the plaintiff. The little bag stays with the defendant, and she gets her money back, plus the cost of the expert, $285. Thank you very much. You're two nice ladies.
Sandra Allen is suing her former employers, Dasher Lindsay and Ralph Isles, for unpaid babysitting fees.
All rise. Yeah, this is case number 88 on the calendar in the matter of Allen versus Lindsay Isles.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Miss Allen, you did babysitting for the defendants.
Correct.
On several different occasions, several different periods of time. And it is your claim that you are owed some wages because you were let go from your job.
Yes.
And you had worked 30 hours.
Correct.
The defendants, while they seem to acknowledge that you were owed wages at the time you left, they say they really owe you nothing because you made a false claim to Child Protective Services about the way that they care for their children, and they are counterclaiming in the amount of $3,000 because of what they say that you put them through. Miss Lindsay, when and where did you find Miss Allen to babysit for your children?
Well, Miss Allen was our children's first babysitter.
And you have 2 children?
We have 3, ma'am.
How long did she babysit for you?
This last time was for 9 months.
And prior to that?
It was off and on for a number of months.
And she was a good babysitter?
Yes, ma'am.
Took good care of your children? You felt
Yes, ma'am.
comfortable about leaving her with the children?
We trusted her, yes, ma'am.
Good. Miss Allen, then I'm going to come to you. I want you to tell me what happened that caused you to call Child Protective Services and when?
On numerous occasions, the kids would not have enough to eat. They would ask me, can I have some more? I was like, well, there's no more food. And I would offer them, like, okay, give me $100. I'll be more than happy to go to the commissary. It's base where the food's a whole lot cheaper. And, you know, I'll get the food and stuff like that for them. No big deal. No, no, no. We're going to go out. We have our monthly budget. And every end of the month, they go to Sam's and everything, come back with the same thing. And we do the same thing over. The kids' shoes were too small. I purchased a pair of shoes for the 4-year-old girl. We had to go up 2 sizes, and that was in the end of '06. I bought the shoes for her, and I started working for them in August. So that time, her shoes were too small. We bought the baby shoes. She was not a year at the time, and the kids were not getting baths. The dad would go out of town. Every other week, he'd go out of town. No big deal. Mom said it's going to be a long week. Could you give the kids a bath? And I would. But when Dad comes home at 5:30, I would not give the kids a bath. I come in at 10:30 in the morning. The kids had the same clothes on that I put them in the day before. I was like, did you guys get a bath? No, 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 Miss Sandra, could we get a bath? So I was like, well, it's time to get dressed, so we'll just change clothes, and we'll just go out and do our stuff and everything.
What did you tell Child Protective Services when you called them?
That the kids were being neglected and weren't being supervised properly.
Go ahead.
On one occasion, Miss Dasher told me personally that the neighbor down the street came in and told her that the oldest son was sitting, they have a 2-story house, and the son was sitting out on his window throwing things out. And the screen's missing, so he was throwing things out of his window.
What kind of work do you do, Miss Lindsay?
I'm a cook.
For whom?
For a company called Sodexo.
You work full-time?
Yes, ma'am.
And you, sir?
Systems analyst for the same company.
Well, you both have good jobs. You've been working for a while for this company?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any financial problems?
No.
Miss Allen, before you called Child Protective Services, did you discuss with Miss Lindsay and Mr. Lyles your concerns?
No, I did not.
You did not. Who is this lady?
It's my mother.
Would you step up, please? Tell me your last name.
Allen.
Miss Allen, when, if ever, did your daughter start to discuss with you the concerns she had about these children?
It was last year. She was seeing different things, and in our area they have a lot of yard sales, and she asked me if I would go out, if I could look for clothes in the children's size and shoes because they were too small, or the winter time. She said, I'm not sure if it was the 4-year-old didn't have clothes that would fit her for the winter, so I was trying to find jeans and turtlenecks and stuff. And she would bring them over to the house sometime, and I would fix some lunch and everything because she would say the cup of noodles, that was all they would be eating for lunch, and the sodium in that soup thing was kind of high for a child. So.
Did she discuss with you before she called Child Protective Services?
No, but she told me that, something needed to be done about what was going on, and I told her, do what she needed to do.
Okay. Do you have the report from Child Protective Services? I'd like to see it.
Yes, ma'am. I have 2, the original when they first came out on the 20th, and the second from the actual caseworker.
How many times did the caseworker visit you in the 2-week period between the date that the report was received and the day they closed the case?
Just twice. The first time, which is A, and then the second time, which is B, when they closed the case. Because on the first visit, she stated that there was nothing but discrepancies in the claims, that the allegations that was made.
Okay. Miss Lindsay or Mr. Lyles, do you have any motive for Miss Allen to have placed this call after the years that she spent with you taking care of your children?
Possibly, yes, ma'am.
Well, I'd like to hear what you think the possible motive is.
That Monday, before the 20th, I believe it was the 16th, Miss Allen came in, normal day. I had spoken to her in regards to, we was paying her extra stipend for gas because she would pick our son up from school, so we give her extra money on top of her pay each week. Well, gas prices in our area were rising, and she came to me and she stated, Miss Dasher, the news said by Memorial Day, gas prices are going to be sky high. Can I please get more gas money? And I said, well, how much do you want? Because I was previously paying her $20 extra a week for gas. She said $30, and I said, fine, no problem. Okay, that was taken care of. Right before I was getting ready to go to work that day, I reminded Miss Allen that we were soon to be putting our 2 oldest children, the 4- and the 5-year-old, in private school, in which we was going to be paying for private school, and the only one that would be left would be our 2-year-old. And once we're paying for private school, we wouldn't be able to pay her the same amount that we pay her currently for her nanny services.
Well, how much were you paying her an hour?
$7 an hour during the week, and if she worked on the weekends, it would be $9 an hour, plus the
So
stipend
you wanted
for
to pay her
gas.
less than $7 an hour?
I didn't want to.
No, we were cutting the hours back. That was what we were telling her.
Oh, you were just cutting her hours back?
Yes, it was more like a pre-notice to possibly a 2-week notice when the children started private school.
Private school.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes, and what did she say?
She didn't state much. She said, well, that's fine. By August, I planned on having moved out of my parents' home.
So she wasn't upset about it?
She didn't seem upset, no.
No, she wasn't upset about that, so that's not a reason. I don't see any reason that she would have, quite frankly, Miss Lindsay, of making this phone call unless she had some legitimate concerns over the 3 children. And the fact that the state didn't find any gross abnormality in your house doesn't mitigate the fact that she felt as if you and your husband may have been a little overwhelmed with full-time jobs and 3 little children, working very hard. You have financial things in the works, private school and all that stuff. Whatever it was, I don't get from Miss Allen that she was being vindictive about anything.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Do you remember when she bought your 4-year-old shoes?
She didn't have any bills.
You mean she didn't have any bills, so she should spend the money on your children?
And later today,
Your Honor, she was tricked. She was
Listen to
duped.
me, sir. She wasn't tricked.
Yes, I was. I was told it was slate, and it's not.
No, it doesn't say slate pool table. It says pool table.
Sandra Allen says former employers Dasher Lindsay and Ralph Isles owe for babysitting fees. The defendants are countersuing, claiming Sandra made false accusations to Child Protective Services.
You have a reason she might call?
I mean, my sister told me that she was going through personal issues.
Well, first of all, that's hearsay. Second of all, going through personal issues would not necessarily mean she would take it out on you.
Well, it doesn't make sense that she would call. The things that were going on did not happen. I mean, she put our kids in danger.
How did she put your kids in danger?
Because Child Protective Services could have took them away.
Well, they could have if they found that they were substantially neglected or abused. They absolutely could have, but we don't discourage people in this country if they have legitimate concerns from making a report to Child Protective Services so that somebody can come out and take a look at a situation and make sure everything is right. The problem is too many people don't do anything. And unless I find that there was some motivation other than a legitimate concern for the children's safety, I'm dismissing your counterclaim and she's going to get the wages that were owed to her. Her mother seems to say, who is a lady that I assume you knew.
Yes, ma'am, we did.
That her daughter had confided in her previously that she was concerned about the children.
She never confided in us. Up until that day, Miss Allen and I had never had any problems communicating.
You may not have had any problems. Do you remember when she bought your 4-year-old shoes?
She bought my 2-year-old shoes.
Or your 2-year-old shoes? Do you remember when she did that?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know why she did that?
I had just bought my 2-year-old shoes. She
Yeah,
did
we
it
have
because
the 2 pairs of shoes.
Yes.
It is unlikely that she would have spent her money, the hard-earned money that the $7 an hour, which is the
She
minimal
didn't have
amount.
any bills.
What?
She didn't have any bills.
I have bills.
She didn't have any bills, so she should spend the money on your children?
No,
We never
she liked
asked
doing
her
things
to.
for our children. She took them to McDonald's. She did things for them. That was.
So she
you know,
was a really good caregiver.
Yes, she
ma'am.
was.
We're not
Well,
She
then
denying
had
that.
no right to
something-
call Child Protective
Yes,
Services.
she did.
There was nothing wrong with the way we
That's
raised
the
our
way,
children.
that's your perception, and you may be right. But if she's the kind of caregiver that you say she is, to her eye, these children were not being adequately cared for while in your care. And before the state takes children away, there has to be some overriding reason, because they got plenty of children in foster care. So if it's a question of children not getting more than noodle soup or not getting a bath every day, they're not going to remove children from a home. But that doesn't mean somebody who loves the children, as she clearly did according to you, should tolerate what she perceives as neglect. So your counterclaim is dismissed. You owe her $226 salary and $30 for gas. Hey, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I've tried to talk to the parents on numerous occasions about different things.
She never tried to talk to us.
But they don't want to listen to me on different occasions, so why would they want to hear something about how their kids are being raised?
And she did, regardless of, what was said. She put our children in danger.
I did what I had to. If you feel like kids are being neglected, don't be afraid to call someone. You're not in the wrong.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Vas Nunes versus Moley. Step forward.
Alan and Terry Vas Nunes are suing Melissa Moley for the value of a pool table and bedroom set they sold her. The couple claims Melissa ultimately canceled her check.
Mr. and Mrs. Vas Nunes, you sold the defendant your home.
Yes.
And when you sold her your home, she also purchased a bedroom set and a pool table, independent of the purchase price of the home. I assume after the closing, you moved out, and she stopped payment on the check.
That is correct, Your Honor.
You want the money for the bedroom set and the pool table. Mrs. Moley says that the pool table was misrepresented to her as a slate pool table, and it's not a slate pool table. It's something called Slatron, and she's not paying for it. Was there a separate bill of sale for the furniture?
No, Your Honor.
And did the contract for the sale of the house provide anything about furniture?
No, Your Honor.
Miss Moley, how many times did you see the house before you purchased it?
A few times.
Well, what's a few? A couple is two. A few is more than two.
Yes.
Usually more than three.
Yes, few.
Let's pause for a moment, and I want you to think how many times you were in the house before the closing.
3 times.
Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Very good. And on each of the 3 occasions, did you see the bedroom set?
I believe I did.
And on each of the 3 occasions, did you see the pool table?
Yes, I walked past it.
When you came to the house, did you come alone?
I came at different times, once with the real estate agent, once by myself, once my husband met me there.
Okay. When your husband met you there, it would only be natural for you to show him the bedroom set and the pool table.
We weren't looking at the bedroom set and the pool table. We were looking at the house.
I said it would only be natural to show him the bedroom set and the pool table if you were interested in buying it.
We weren't interested in buying it until after he had come. We had asked them later on if they were going to be selling any of the furniture.
Then I assume that your husband saw the bedroom set and the pool table. So just answer my questions. Let's not play with each other. And I assume that when you went home with your husband, you discussed whether or not you would buy any of the furniture. That would be a logical thing to do.
Yes.
And both you and your husband decided that if they were prepared to sell the bedroom set and the pool table, you were interested in purchasing it.
I decided that, yes.
You decided that independently of your husband?
Yes, I did.
You felt as if you had the expertise to do that all by yourself?
Expertise as far as what? I just decided I was going to buy it.
And you made that decision yourself. How old are you?
39.
What kind of work do you do?
I stay home with the kids.
And your husband?
He works for Verizon.
And who makes the financial decisions in the house?
I do.
Okay. Now, on what date did you make this arrangement to sell the furniture, the pool table and the bedroom set?
In mid-January, after the contract and the approval to purchase my home, Ms. Moley had sent a piece of paper to my wife explaining she had interest in the bedroom set.
May I see the piece of paper? Do you have it?
And then on...
You don't have the piece of paper?
On 2/28, she wrote a check.
Can I see it, please?
Yes.
Yes. That would be February 28th.
Yes, ma'am. But prior to that, on 2/18, she did come to the house the first time initially to view the bedroom set and the pool table with her son, and we opened our home to her.
Just 1 second.
Yes.
Miss Moley, did you write this out? Pool table, furniture?
Yes.
So this is your contract?
Yes.
You canceled this check?
Yes, and I gave them a new check for the $450. I tried to reach them by telephone. We went to closing on the 28th. On the 1st of March, I called Terry Vas Nunes on her cell phone, which she had given me. I left her a message stating that I was disappointed the pool table was not slate like she had told me. She didn't call me back until 8 days later. So I attempted to reach them, couldn't get them. 8 days later.
Miss Moley, listen to me. You are responsible for this. This is your contract. Absent another writing, this is your contract. You agreed to purchase
a slate pool
from
table.
them. No, it doesn't say slate pool table. It says pool table. It doesn't say new. It doesn't say 2004. It doesn't say green. It doesn't say. It says pool table and furniture from them for $900. This forms your contract. And when you buy secondhand furniture, if you want to be specific, you can either do one of two things. You can have an expert come and look at it before you purchase it. That you can do. Who are you?
I'm her brother, Your Honor.
Did you look at it before she purchased it?
She had called me on the phone. May I stand up?
Sure.
She had called me on the phone, and she asked me that they're selling the pool table. I said, if it's slate, she says $450. I said, if it's slate, it's a score, buy it. If it's flake board, do not buy it. The humidity in New York will destroy it. It's no good. It's not worth anything.
Well, why didn't you come and look at it?
Because I live a distance away, and she was making that decision immediately, and I told her, do not buy it. She called them up. To confirm it, is it slate?
Listen to me. Sit down. You weren't there when she called them? You can't report on anything that she said.
She told me it was slate when I asked her. Prior to giving her the check, I said, is it slate or is it wood? She told me it was slate. She told me the difference between slate board and wood. The balls don't bounce, the wood won't warp. It's slate. I didn't go looking under the table.
Did you have a discussion with them about that?
Melissa called me on the telephone after I gave her the $900 quote for the furniture, and she asked me if the
Yes.